Hi, welcome to Glen Talks, where we talk about all things in the world of business and the local community. Today's guest is a phenomenal trailblazer and really needs no introduction. She is an honorary captain with the Canadian Navy and has been leading Surrey's development and economics through the Board of Trade for a number of years now. Anita Huberman, thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to hearing a little bit more about your story and the wonderful things that we've got planned for this once suburb turning into going to be the biggest city in British Columbia. While I was preparing for this podcast, I went and I checked out a bunch of different podcasts that you've done and articles, and you're really an inspiring and remarkable person. Blazing a lot of trails, particularly for women of color, and smashing through a big glass ceiling at the age of 32, becoming the CEO of the Board of Trade. There's a big history back there. What brought you to that point? Can you share a little bit about your personal journey and what had actually led you to deciding to move in with the Board of Trade?
Well, first of all, I just wanted to start way back. So my mom, she was 19 years old when she came to Canada from India, from Bombay, and she didn't speak a word of English. A year later, I was born. And while I was growing up, she decided to, without my father's knowledge, teach herself English, get a part-time job, and take some accounting courses and go to college. Eventually, of course, my dad found out, but all was okay in the end. And of course, now, she is the chief financial officer for Langara Student Union in Vancouver. But she is a huge role model for me, a huge, ambulant point of strength for me. And so when I was 19, I applied to be a summer student at the Surrey Board of Trade. And I needed a way to pay for my own tuition at Simon Fraser University. And I was hired. So I worked summers there, and I worked one day a week. And really that's how I paid for my schooling, but it gave me real life corporate experience, real life corporate connections while I was going to school. And so, really the layer is my mom was 19, she was on this journey, and then I was 19, and then I was on this journey. And as a woman, what happened is I graduated. I left the Board of Trade. I worked for the Royal Bank for a year, discovered banking wasn't for me, and I went back to the Board of Trade. And I worked as a executive assistant. And then I went up the ranks. So as an events manager, operations manager, and then I applied for the top job at the age of 32. And it was unheard of at that time for a young South Asian woman to apply. And I had no previous CEO experience, but I had been working for the Board of Trade for some time. So through a great and a number of interviews, I did get the position. And I have had the position for 18 years. And when I started, we had no brand profile. We were in debt. No one knew what the Board of Trade was all about. And I believe, and I'm not ashamed to say this, I'm not humble. I did revolutionize the Chamber of Commerce Board of Trade model. I brought in a team that has the same entrepreneurial vision in a not-for-profit world. And that's what it takes. There's 430 Chambers of Commerce Boards of Trades in the country. We're the top 5. And Surrey is positioned to be the largest city in British Columbia in 5 years. And so our work around government advocacy, workforce development, international trade, being that concierge of connections, and supporting businesses through their economic development challenges and opportunities is really ensuring that we're part of the city's economic development ecosystem.
You've got so many awesome initiatives on the go, and I'd like to get to that in a second. But before we do, I'd like to kind of maybe take a look at a snapshot, because there's been so much change in technology and the local community. And you were right beside that as it went up the whole way. So I'm sure from doing your internship and working there over the years, you were kind of seeing some things that maybe can be done a little bit differently. And you talked about revolutionizing some things. And I think where you're a little bit more unique is that you had seen a lot of social issues as economic issues. And it's not, and there's a marriage between those two. So for like daycare, for example, did you run up against some opposition over those years? And then now are you kind of, a lot of people are realizing that is more of as an accepted real issue for us to navigate as a business?
Well, let's take childcare as an example. In 2008, the government at the time, both provincial and federal, said to me, why are you focusing on childcare? It's not an economic issue. You're a business organization. Get with the program. Those were actual words that were said to me. But no. We now realize today that childcare is an economic issue, that every single person matters in this economy. And many of the issues that I've taken on, in the end, people realize that it's right. But I have faced great adversity on a variety of levels. And sometimes you're the only woman in a boardroom as well. And so you have to be able to connect the dots and speak in such a way that is strategically going to benefit, whatever audience that you're speaking to. But, the issues that we've taken on have made the Surrey Board of Trade a leader. I include a national pharmacare program in that. I include housing in that. I include poverty reduction. I include education in that, as well as transportation.
How have you persevered in that face of adversity? Because I'm sure, being the only female in many, many groups of a lot of different people, what's your key to resilience?
Well, I have to say it's not easy. And every situation is very different. And the people that are around you in that situation and how you're able to handle that is different per situation. And so I have a great support system, but it's very small. And, I have to say, when you're in this type of position, there's only a limited number of people that you can trust to be yourself. Mm-hmm. And so that includes my husband, my mother, my brother, and, a few friends. But that's about it. And, being able to talk it out is really important. But being able to relax, travel, that you need to have, some type of way to breathe in the face of that adversity. And I would say that every single challenge that I've been dealt with, and there have been many, breathing helps.
And setting healthy boundaries with people, I think, as well, right?
Yeah, sometimes that's impossible as well, to set healthy boundaries. Especially in a job that is so all-consuming, and you have to be on all the time. And the expectations are really high. And I would say the cultural expectations are really high too. So a third of Surrey's population is South Asian. And so I have cultural expectations as a leader, as a woman as well, in addition to community expectations.
Mm-hmm. So you can, I guess, say that one of your biggest strong points, but also, and sometimes one of your biggest deficits can be that imposter syndrome, right? When you're just having to struggle so much harder to prove yourself in rooms all the time.
And I love that word and I didn't know about that word until Chantal Kreviazuk spoke at our Women in Business Awards for Surrey last year. And even in the music business, like she's a Canadian musician, but she had to go to LA to make it big. But, that inside feeling is you're never good enough. Every single day you have to be different. Sometimes you have to be an actress in order to face the moment. And she said that's normal for a woman to feel. But we just have to persevere and again have that supportive ecosystem.
And you've been at the core of starting a lot of initiatives to help support women and women entrepreneurs, particularly in the world of business. So you have the Women's Awards. What other things do you have that you're pushing?
Well, we do have a women's team and a youth team, as well as a social policy workforce team, which incorporates, all of the rainbow community, LGBTQ++, our Indigenous peoples. Really, as I mentioned before, it's about every single person matters. So creating workshops, connection events, advocacy, being a mentor. So I have many women, for example, that approach me on LinkedIn to say, Anita, I'd like to sit down with you, or let's have a Zoom chat. Can I have some advice? And for the most part, I do make the time. And I think that's really important in the work that I do, but also in terms of making sure that we're also supporting the next generation of women and young ladies. Even last night, we had our Surrey's Top 25 Under 25 Awards, and guess who our keynote speaker was? A 10-year-old young lady entrepreneur selling wax candle type of products. And the way that she spoke was, like a mature adult. And I even learned from her. And so, mentoring, through our Power Play Young Entrepreneur Program, as young as in grade 4 all the way to grade 12, connecting them, teaching them business plans, and also teaching them how to be great civic citizens, giving back to the community. That's what last night was all about. But when we're in the schools, teaching them that, being visible, that really makes the difference.
Mm-hmm. So not even just initiatives to help support the local community, but those are just all hard, happy initiatives too. And I think it's nice. So at the end of the day that that you've made a tremendous amount of difference for a lot of different people, and being behind. And if you start thinking back, like to when you started to where you are now, like the Anita then, phenomenal. Like what would you think back then, looking at what you are today?
I would say the Anita at 19 needed to be more courageous, more of a risk taker. I would say at the age of 32, I was a risk taker and I was courageous. And then as the journey went on, you have to be that way in order to grow the organization. You have to be a certain way in order to develop your brand. And that's the brand that you personify inside, outside, how you speak with people, how you're developing your projects as well. I think is really important. But I have to say that no matter who you are, you're not going to get along with everyone. And whether it's a politician, whether it's a business person, not everyone's going to agree with you. And especially in this position, and I would say, it's very similar to all urban center, chambers of commerce, boards of trades. It is absolutely impossible to expect that everyone will love you. If they do, then you're doing something wrong, I would say, because you're advocating, and many people are not going to like that. So, I think, we're making a difference in the face of adversity. And then in the end, we are making a difference.
Mm-hmm. I'm kind of learning a hard lesson right now myself on, it's important to be, you always want to be a good person. At the end of the day, you want to make sure that your North Star is going in the right direction. But I'm quickly learning that you don't always have to be the nice person. And being able to set those healthy boundaries. And I think, from your perspective, particularly that your situation is so highly political, and opinions do matter. So, the quote of, your opinion of me is none of my business it is business.
Yeah, I mean, that's the lesson for all of us, man, woman, is really about you can't control other people's opinion of you. And you just have to persevere forward. Life is so short. You're trying to make your mark, your legacy in this life. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. And in my position in the Chamber Board of Trade, the whole reason that it began 500 years ago is to tell the truth to government, in addition to networking, connecting, all of that. So the truth matters, and you have to say it.
Mm-hmm. So when it comes to lobbying, what are your current biggest political lobbying points that you have that you're trying to push? What are the biggest initiatives?
Well, certainly infrastructure, transportation, healthcare, education. Our philosophy at the Surrey Board of Trade is that education and transportation drives the economy, and then everything else flows from there in terms of livability, trade, poverty reduction, all of those pieces, and that is evidenced like never before. And so infrastructure, we've been left behind as a city by the provincial government, by the federal government, and we need...
And transit referendums.
Yes, that's right. That's right. But we need revolutionary budget change, budget dedication to Surrey. We're going to be the largest city in BC in 5 years, and we do not have the infrastructure, the destination assets to be that large city yet.
Just a few weeks ago, it took me over an hour to get from the Sheraton to Highway 10 and 176. I could not believe it. We're tremendously losing.
That's because Surrey is growing still by 1,200 to 1,400 people a month. We have the highest number of newcomers, refugees within BC in our city. And you can fit the cities of Vancouver, Richmond, Burnaby into our geographic limits. The second, really important advocacy initiative is taxation. Uplifting the spirit of entrepreneurialism. So there's so much eroding the bottom line. And so we need a comprehensive tax reform at both the local, provincial, and federal government levels. And I would say even at the regional government levels, we're being taxed to death. Our tax code is way too complicated, and we need to partner with the global community and co-locate global businesses with Canadian businesses to build infrastructure, to create jobs. And we can only do that through tax simplification.
So what particularly what about the tax should change? Easy things off the top, 2 or 3.
Well, the tax code itself, the legislation, is very arduous. It is administratively burdensome to deal with CRA, for example, whether you're a Canadian or a foreign business doing business within Canada or BC. And, I would also say that we were in favor of the HST under the Gordon Campbell government, that it would have really strengthened our manufacturing sector and simplified our tax code within BC, but people didn't understand the strength of that at the time. But there are different elements. We did create a study around tax simplification, and we keep pushing that to both the BC government, the federal government, but also our local and regional governments too.
Mm-hmm. Are you finding that the local members of parliament and the members of the legislative assembly, they're easy to work with and their open door policy, are you finding that they're more receptive as time has gone, or is it?
Well, I have a good working relationship with all of them. We agree to disagree many times. Some have been very complicated, tense conversations due to the politics of it all. But that's the nature of my position, and you just have to persevere on what is right. But I'm always able to sit down, for the most part, with a politician. I would say there's only been one person in my past that's just been impossible to do.
Yeah. So you're speaking a little bit more about, internationally, doing more business with people. You've been doing a lot of travel lately, and it's really fascinating to see. And you've also had some trade ambassador trips also coming here from Fiji, for example. So how have those been? Are you finding that you're helping to connect the dots for a lot of people and bringing some awesome new companies in? Can you share about anything new that's coming?
Well, first of all, I just wanted to back up and say that, Surrey, the brand of Surrey is that it's not a global city, but it is a global city. So when I first started at the Board of Trade in my president role, I worked off the side of my desk creating a trade center. It's so hard to get funding from the BC government, the federal government, because Vancouver has the brand. All the money goes over there. But we need trade enabling infrastructure right here in Surrey and in the South Fraser Economic Region. And so I would say, I've been on trade missions even before the pandemic, incoming, outgoing. But this year, we are taking a bold approach, spending our own money to do a Surrey Roadshow, to talk about and present the economic assets of our city, that it's not all about Vancouver anymore, it's about Surrey. And so I speak about the private sector economic assets. I speak about Surrey's Health and Technology District. And we're opening our second location next month, our Tech and Skills Center. I speak about our manufacturing sector, the Cascadia Economic Zone, the work that we're doing with the state of Washington, Oregon, California, building high-speed rail infrastructure. I talk about our international docking facility, Dubai ports, receiving goods from all over the world and shipping goods all over the world. And so this is exciting. People get excited when I talk. And so I'm good at that. But people are just amazed that I'm there. Vancouver is not. But the fact that there's a BC city there is amazing, because Ontario, businesses and government, as well as Alberta, they're quite aggressive in the global markets. BC is not, and that presents an opportunity for all of us. But there are opportunities with Taiwan. I went to Taiwan in March for co-location opportunities with some pharmaceutical companies, virtual reality companies, but also Taiwanese investment, P3 infrastructure, building our infrastructure. Mexico was amazing. The BC government will be opening their trade office in Mexico City later this year. Taiwan is also a strategic location as well for the BC government. And so they're building hospitals, a port, a naval base, educational facilities, an airport in 2 to 4 years with state-of-the-art technology, a women's hospital, bringing in technology from Germany, a knowledge and innovation hub, doing it all ethically, without, any criminal activity, the cartel. They want to be a model state, the state of Nayarit. I met with their governor. I met with their ministerial cabinet. We went on a road show for 3 days. And I want to believe so desperately that in government that can do good. And so I was just so impressed with what they have. And then later this month, I'm going to Dublin, Ireland, to do the same thing.
Wow. And the tax is totally different in Ireland. I hear it's much easier for business there.
Yes. And so, I'm learning that we're behind in many things, but there's also opportunities to move ourselves forward with global partnerships.
A five building hub that you're building for trades or for technology and health. And can you share a little bit more about that project? Like, what is that? Like, I'd really like to hear a little bit more about that.
So first of all, I think you're referencing our Surrey Technology and Skills Center. So our joint venture partner is Western Community College. They're actually here in Tower 3 in Surrey's Health and Technology District on the 9th floor. They've just purchased another 4 floors in Tower 4 to be built. And they're building the first student housing development in Tower 5. And so they're our joint venture partner, more specifically in the Tech and Skills Center, where we will be starting up and scaling up tech businesses. We are going to be creating a blockchain center of excellence, a cybersecurity center of excellence, an Indigenous entrepreneurship and innovation center, and expanding our trade center. And the third element is really focused on workforce development, so project-based labor market training, tying industry needs to curriculum development, a construction sector, hospitality sector, cybersecurity, and digital. Our footprint in our Tech and Skills Center is only 2,300 square feet. We're low risk, starting small, but the vision is great, and we anticipate it will grow.
So you are also an honorary captain of the Navy, which is really neat. Now, aside from that, coming with the title, what are some of the benefits that come along with that, and how can you help drive some further initiatives?
Well, first of all, there's 45 honorary captains of the Royal Canadian Navy in the country. So the Minister of Defense is looking for well-connected individuals, not really connected to the military, but that will introduce them to different audiences for different purposes. And of course, they're looking for us to speak about the economic significance of the Navy, and I go to different cadet performances as well. But there will be a second naval base here in Surrey soon, and there's one in Stanley Park. We have the greatest number of military families that live in Surrey, and so we need to have, there'll be a phase 1 naval base and then a phase 2 naval base, so they can do their water exercises, hopefully on the Fraser River or on the ocean. And so we're really looking forward to, my ability to be able to connect them, for them to have a naval presence. But it also enables me to say to everyone that we have a strong connection with Ottawa, and that Surrey is very important, and that helps us, that title that I have helps me leverage the profile and the brand of the Board of Trade and for Surrey.
Do you feel that Western alienation has shifted a little bit more now, that you can help build and leverage that relationship, or is...
Well, it's improved a lot, since 18 years ago. I would say the Trudeau government, has really tried to focus on BC and Alberta. It's really hard when you're in Ottawa. It's so insular in Ontario. And Ontario and Quebec are the huge voting blocks, for the federal government. But there's, I was in Ottawa 3 weeks ago, and I still feel there's so much more attention we need by Ottawa in terms of investment, ministers being here, investments, all of those pieces to ensure that we're moving our economies ahead.
So how has the journey been to advance economic development in Surrey, transitioning from a suburb to a complete city and supercenter as it is now? So what are some of the main challenges that we're facing right now, aside from dealing with the transportation issue? What are some of the other lenses that we need to consider?
Well, healthcare is one. We only have one hospital, which really isn't full service either, because you can't treat people that have heart attacks or need specialty pediatric care or suffering from trauma. You have to go across the river. So Vancouver has 6 hospitals. We only have one. We do have another one being built, but that's not going to be here till 2030. Education, we need 21 new schools in order to keep up with population demand. We don't have, any meaningful arts and culture facilities. We have the amazing Surrey Arts Center, but the art gallery, we need our own art gallery, and we need destination assets. We need to rebuild and make our waterfronts a destination. We need a stadium to be ready for FIFA in 2026, and it can be done next year with prefabricated material, and it can be used for other events. We could be an event activation zone for FIFA, and it can be done. We just need political courage to get it done.
Yeah, actually, a few years ago, what year was that? I think it was 2012, 2013. It was Surrey Council meetings. You probably remember this one. It was for the development of the casino and event center over in South Surrey. Do you think we missed out?
I think we did. We were huge proponents of that. Again, another issue I faced great adversity and attacks on. But
yeah, that came down to the wire. It was down to the mayor's decision, and it was.
But really, South Surrey is really lacking in hotel infrastructure. We need more hotels within Surrey itself to attract those big events. We need a convention center as well, and it can be economically viable. But we missed the boat on that. So that development in South Surrey with the casino and the hotel, a bit of a blend of arts and culture.
We've got some stuff that's on the go right now. So Langley's just built their own, right? So we're tremendously behind.
Yes, we are. We do have some hotels that are being built. So we have 23 new towers in the downtown core that are slated to be built. A few of them have hotels within their residential development. I don't know about banquet facilities, but we'll see, when that's built. We're still waiting.
Yeah, and as a youth growing up, there was a lot has been lost in terms of culture for weekend nightlife and hanging out. And honestly, I think as a younger person growing up in kind of the Newton area, it feels like Surrey's kind of gotten a little bit blasé and boring.
Yeah, and I would say when we're, talking to our youth, we also have a Surrey Music City Center at the Board of Trade, trying to make Surrey a music city destination. We're talking to our young multicultural musicians from the South Asian community, Filipino community, etc. And they don't have spaces and places to perform. And they have to go to Vancouver to do that. Why?
Mm-hmm. Good question. I know. And parking, everything is so costly. So, so can you what do you got on the go right now? So you guys are actually in the process of going to be merging with the South Surrey and White Rock Board of Trade. Can you share a little bit more about that?
Yeah, it's the South Surrey White Rock Chamber of Commerce. So we had our special general meeting actually this past week on Wednesday, and the vote on both parts for both organizations was a yes. So the merger will be going through, and now we're just proceeding with the legal and the financial and the next steps of the merger, which is going to take some time, as all mergers do. And so we'll be maintaining a location in White Rock and promoting White Rock. And of course, our great city of Surrey. And so we're very excited about the new economic vision. And really ensuring that White Rock is also successful in that economic vision.
So one thing I can appreciate is the amount of energy that you have, because I've recently started following all of the social media, and just the amount of events that you guys put on is. I got to give you a big round of applause, because that's like, how many events do you guys do? Like close to 100 a year?
So we do 150 of our own a year.
Yeah.
And then we do 150 others, but in a back approach. So as a marketing sponsor, community partner, I may speak at them to leverage a lot of the work that we need to do. For example, with our Indigenous partners, and so on and so forth. Like Surrey Pride Society, we just held a Rainbow Entrepreneur Roundtable as well. Those collaborative partnerships are really important as well. And so Vasaki is another one. There's so many that we do within the city. We can't do everything. I know everyone wants us to do everything, but we simply can't, because in the end, we're a not-for-profit. We have human capital stresses as well, but we do what we can. And I'm out and about, locally, regionally, provincially, nationally, doing what I can as well. And sometimes it's a challenge, to get to everything. But I have a great team as well, and they're out and about too. And so that's, how we handle it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, we have our fun next section is we have a bit of a rapid fire. So it's just, one sentence to one word answers. And we'll see if we can get into any other conversation topics from there. But what is your favorite go-to restaurant for doing business in Surrey?
I would say the Sheraton in Guildford.
Okay. Favorite park?
My favorite park, I don't really go to parks. I go to beaches. And so I love Crescent Beach in Surrey.
Perfect. And one of your most memorable milestones that stands out?
Really getting the job at the age of 32 as president of the Surrey Board of Trade.
If you could change any policy overnight, what would it be?
It would be infrastructure, transportation, education, healthcare, all rolled into one.
It's one of those wish for more wishes, right? Ultimate vacation?
Going to Hawaii.
Oh, have you been?
Well, I got married in Maui, and we're going back in July to Kona, or the Big Island is my favorite. And that aloha energy is what I love.
Perfect. Bring some back with you. What's a hidden talent that you have that many might not know about?
I would say it's cleaning. I'm a great cleaner and organizer, and that helps me in both my personal and professional life.
So what career did you originally want to move into when you were graduating high school?
I actually wanted to work on a cruise ship.
Okay, cool.
Because I love traveling, and my minor is in European history, so but that never transpired.
What world record do you think you could have a shot at beating?
Oh dear. Cleaning.
Love that. And so which colleague do you have that makes you laugh the most?
I would say it's my colleague Indra Bond. She makes me laugh with her mischievous ways. And she's been a longtime friend as well.
Oh, wonderful. So Canucks game is coming up.
Tonight.
Yeah.
Yes.
So where are you watching?
At Northview Golf Course right here in Surrey. And of course, I was there on a Wednesday night as well, wearing my Canucks jersey. Northview is actually the official golf course for the Vancouver Canucks.
Oh, really?
And they're hosting their alumni tournament soon in Surrey as well. And we'll be there as a whole sponsor.
Well, today it's going to be pretty busy there when you arrive as well, because they have the BC Road Builders Golf Tournament is going to be going on. So you're going to see a phenomenal amount of business leaders there as well.
And the weather's beautiful.
Thanks for joining us, Anita. It was fantastic getting to meet you and learn a little bit more about you and the Board of Trade and all the fantastic work you've done over the years. So as a Surrey resident, thank you so much. And as someone who has delved into small businesses as well, it's just fantastic to hear that you've got such a tremendous advocacy for people that are looking to build a better province and to build a better life for themselves. So thank you so much for your work. And I cannot let you leave without a bit of a gift from us. So
thank you.
Got some wonderful treats and treasures.
Thank you so much.
And we look forward to connecting with you a little bit more. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
That's all we have for today's show. Please don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe as we bring you another episode very soon. Take care.